Omar, I hope I hit record. I'm afraid that I don't know how to admit this, but I had to use a workbook as a child to learn how to read. And I think an immortal racist warlock might have taken it from me and used it to cast some sort of dark incantation because I could no longer read any of these buttons, Omar.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's so wild. My IKEA manual to build a drawer also got taken back by a racist immortal warlock, and now I can't, Sarah, I can't
Omar.
build drawers anymore.
Omar, well, I can't read and you can't build drawers, but there is one thing we can still do together.
What's that?
Talk about our favorite show, Riverdale Season 6.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, it's good to be back.
It's so good to be back. I'm your co-host, Sarah Kaplan.
And I'm your co-host, Omar Najam.
And as always, we're here to talk about our favorite season of our favorite television show. And just a reminder, in case you've made it all the way to episode 13 and you don't know this yet, it's okay if you haven't seen Riverdale.
Yeah.
Because guess what, listener? Our guest hasn't either. That's right. We're joined today by the wonderful and hilarious comedian and podcaster, host of That's Messed Up, a Law & Order SVU pod, Kara Klenk. Hello.
Hello, Sarah, Omar. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. We this episode specifically, we're gonna need some of your prowess, some of your crime-solving abilities.
I don't know what I have. I don't know what I have to offer here. I was really thrown into the Riverdale pool, and it's cold in here, and I don't know what I'm watching.
Would you say that anything that happened in this episode would be considered especially heinous?
Yeah. I would say there was a lot of especially heinous stuff going on. The first one being Archie's bummed that he didn't get his girlfriend pregnant. Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
That's not how any SVU episode starts. It's usually the pregnant girlfriend is dead because Archie got pretty mad about having to be a dad. If you're in the SVU universe.
A young dad specifically, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. Can you tell me how old they're supposed to be?
They're 25.
Sure.
They're 25. And he always wanted to be a young dad because his dad talked about being a young dad because that's a thing that men talk about. They talk about wanting to be young dads.
Young dads.
You know, I had a relatively young dad. Relatively. Yeah. My dad was 30 when I was born. He was 27 when my older brother was born.
Okay.
And I do think it was nice to have like a dad who could physically keep up with all the stuff, and now like as an adult he's still heartily an adult and not elderly yet, and I think it's really nice to like have that overlap of life.
It's lovely. I just don't know that your dad ever sat down and was like, this is a goal I've had to like be a young dad. It's just a funny thing to hear somebody say out loud. Like, I've always wanted to be a young dad. My dad talked about it all the time.
It was his favorite thing. Like, I think that
it was his
like, it calls
thing.
A lot of attention to like...
It's like, meanwhile, I had kids with my husband like late into our 30s and he got postpartum depression from after both of our children were born. So,
and that
I'm just saying there's, you know.
And just so you know, listener, that postpartumly depressed husband was none other than former guest of the pod, Jared Logan.
Yes, but 2 episodes ago you had him on your pod and he enjoyed himself, and so I came scurrying after to get in on this Riverdale action.
Thank you.
But okay, so these two 25-year-olds are in bed.
Yeah,
sad about this baby not happening.
You know, I gotta be honest. It's a little unfair for us to have this perspective on young early 20s life. Maybe we need to bring in another expert who knows more about that than we do. Please welcome Azriel, our producer and the host of the ongoing segment that runs the entire length of the podcast, Ask Azzy. How's it going, Azzy?
Hello. The beginning, I don't mean to be hyperbolic. The beginning of this episode, which I guess I'll consider before the title card, which was a lot of time. The beginning of this episode may have sent me down a spiral that will define the rest of my life.
Was it something about the way that Betty casually says, "Well, you know, my mom is my mom and my dad was a serial killer"?
Well, that was when I knew I wasn't reading the comics anymore.
It was not that. When we get talking about the books, I'll let you know what it was.
We're going to talk about some books. Oh, I have a feeling I know exactly which book it was, Azzy. But we'll get to the books. Okay. Yes. So Azzy, for your reference, Kara.
Yes.
Azzy is your ace in the hole.
Yeah.
Because she has not seen seasons 1 through 5 of Riverdale, but she has been watching each episode of season 6 with us. So she is your best middle ground between Omar and I, who legitimately love Riverdale and are rewatching season 6.
Okay.
And your experience of what I assume is like minor bafflement, but you're probably able to pick up most of what's going on from context clues.
This is like a straightforward episode for you, right? Like there's some weird ones. This one is pretty, like, this is like normal.
It's just like normal? This one's pretty normal?
Like this is like kind of like a Law and Order-esque episode. Like it's like these are the things we recognize. It's about the library, which is kind of like
a cold open, you have crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just like I'll just say that heretofore my experience with Riverdale is just reading the little comics when I was a kid and loving them. And then we watched the pilot. My husband and I watched the pilot 7 years ago or however many years ago it was. And it seemed like it was just going to be a sort of dishy teen soap with a lot of, drama. And that was it. And now Betty's an FBI agent. Like there's a lot here that is.
That one, okay. If it helps, that one is because she has a serial killer gene, which she thought was mostly from her mom, from her dad, but it turns out it might just be running throughout the entire family.
Yeah.
She has a serial killer gene, so she decides to put her powers to work for good and become an FBI agent. Okay.
Yeah. Well, there was the whole thing of the fact that her dad was like a serial killer that was plaguing the entire town for a long time, and she had to be the one to like bring him in and find him.
Okay.
That for sure played like a role as well.
Well, Omar, I don't want to waste Kara's time on minor crimes because Kara's an expert in Law and Order SVU. She wants some juicier stuff.
Yeah.
I think we're going to dig into probably the most heinous crimes of all. Overdue library books.
Yes.
Because the Riverdale Public Library is closing, and we need to collect them books.
And I love this because, at least where I live in Los Angeles, library overdue fees, I believe, went out the window during COVID.
They're waived. Yeah.
So they're gone. And I think I would like a return to Law and Order when it comes to library books. This cannot go on.
Would you be shocked to learn that this episode is actually what pushed the Los Angeles Public Library system to get rid of fees?
They were like, we simply can't afford a man with a shotgun to go around collecting all these books from these former high school hotties. And so we're just going to waive the fees. It's just too much administrative work for us.
So I do want to go through some of these books, and you don't know this show, Kara, and I want you to try to, based on these meaningful books for these people, I want to get your sense of like what the show is telling us about these characters.
Ooh.
Okay.
So we have Archie Andrews has a book on like intro songwriting.
Right. Which... from what I gathered was like giving him like horny memories of his old band teacher or something from school.
Okay.
Yeah, horny memories is one way to say it. This is actually much more of a Law and Order SVU kind of flashback.
Oh, because she was like an older woman that was she taking advantage of him?
Yeah, she was his teacher taking advantage of him when he was in high school.
Oh, okay.
So he actually does have a lot of trauma surrounding Miss Grundy.
Yeah.
Shouldn't Betty also have trauma around Miss Grundy as well, considering that her father killed her?
Her father did murder Miss Grundy, but...
Oh, Miss Grundy, R.I.P.
If Betty's going to have trauma around everyone her dad killed, she's just not going to be able to function.
She's got to move to another town.
Yeah.
So, yes. Okay, so there was a bit of a very Law and Order SVU, which we were just talking about this on my podcast, that, sometimes those relationships get glorified where it's like, yeah, it's called lucky bastard syndrome. And it's like, no, it's called an adult woman raping a young child who is still a teen and it's not legal. But it reminds me of May December, a movie that Charles Melton is in, and I'm told I have to bring up that he's very good in that movie.
Academy Award winner, in fact.
I have, and again, I'll correct Sarah that he didn't win an Oscar.
And I refuse to accept that.
In your reality, he has won, and he is
Yes.
He's so handsome, but there was also some part about what he was going on with Veronica that I did not understand. So he's Reggie.
Oh,
He's Reggie. Yes.
Did I see Jughead in this episode?
You did. Yeah, but he spends a lot of time in Barney's book barn right off Route 42 in Allentown.
Okay. Okay. All right. He's the metamorphosis one.
Yes,
Is he the one that's itching?
He has eczema.
Yes. Okay. He's itching. Okay. I just didn't get it. That was Jughead.
We'll get there. So I do want to go. So he does. He is the metamorphosis. Does that tell you anything about Jughead or the way the show is trying to characterize him?
Well, the Metamorphosis is a book of Greek mythology. Are they trying to categorize?
I believe this is the Kafka Metamorphosis and not Ovid's Metamorphoses.
Oh, okay. Then I actually don't know anything about that, and I'm outing myself as an uneducated. I don't know anything about Kafka's Metamorphosis.
Really quick, if I may hop on that, what an amazing experience you had of like he's missing Ovid's Metamorphosis and he's turning into a bug. Like that, like it is. That's a twist. That's a twist.
I was like, I don't know. It's Greek mythology. So what happens in Kafka's Metamorphosis? A man turns into a bug?
Yes, it's an absurdist novel about a man who wakes up one day as a giant bug.
Yeah.
So what are they trying to say about Jughead?
I think it was the closest thing they could come up with to eczema. Or I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
And his sister would have the opposite, because in the book, his sister turns into a beautiful butterfly in sort of like an analogous metaphorical way.
That's a lie. Omar, don't lie to our guests about the metamorphosis.
That happens at the end, doesn't she? Turn it like it's like she's like it's like a glorious, like she's described as like a wondrous creature or something at the end, where she like blossoms, but he's like in his room getting apples thrown at him by his dad.
He is in his room.
Or maybe this is a comic book I drew in high school.
I don't think his sister turns into a butterfly.
But Jughead also says, doesn't he also say like, my uncle had metamorphosis and I was so scared. My biggest fear was growing up to be alone like him.
And only publish one book.
The Wikipedia says Greta has grown up into a pretty young lady with a good figure. I think metaphorically she's butterflied while he's, died of the infection he got from his dad throwing an apple at his back.
So that might have been a comic book I drew.
Anyway, sorry. That's a one recurring trend. Not every episode, but I'm very distractible. And once I have a question in my head, it needs to be answered. So sometimes I might vanish into the world of Wikipedia. But if you have questions, of course, you can simply ask Azzy. I don't know what it means.
Azzy, who is Percival?
Yeah, do you want me to take this one?
Get right to the heart of the matter.
Azzy, yeah, you know, Percival only exists in season 6, so you've got this one.
True.
I mean, he's very classic, like British baddie coming in and threatening everyone, and he's essentially the library police. But I don't know what's going on. Which not to rob a joke from the show, where they're like, "What are you, the library police?"
Which is such an out of character line for the show. Actually, the show, the tone of the show is like to steal from a future episode here that you'll hear next week. The joke of the show is that the show takes itself impeccably seriously.
Yeah.
Like crumpet eating buffoon lands. That's one where I'm like, hell yeah, that popped off. But
here's some context on Percival Pickens. Here are things you might not have been able to glean from this episode alone, and I'll give you some of that context. Shows up to Riverdale, seems to want to gain some power over Riverdale. The things we found out through various time traveling and spells and, just other cosmic phenomena. It seems that, and this is just from me, because I don't know the truth. I'm up to this point, but I have the context of the other episodes. Percival seems to have been he's immortal, I believe. and was his own ancestor who genocided a whole like native tribe,
the Utana people who used to live here. Yes,
that Riverdale is on now.
Oh,
and also was a Confederate general. Who
in the 90s.
in that guy's Tabitha duels using the spear of Longinus, the spear that pierced the side of Jesus on the crucifix.
We could sort of, in summary, I think, Kara, immortal racist warlock.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Got it. And his point is to what? Abolish all these people from Riverdale?
You don't really know yet. You know that he's trying to take over the town.
Okay.
Yeah, unless I guess we do know from last episode, his goal is to build the ghost train, which should grant him dominion over the souls of both the living and the dead.
That was not from last episode.
I think it's the next episode.
You're skipping ahead.
No, that's from the last episode. Isn't that from the episode we did with Amy?
I think I think it's coming up, unfortunately. I'm so sorry.
Really?
Yeah, Ghost Train's not yet. With the diner stuff.
You're so right. Forget anything I said about a ghost train. I'm so sorry, everyone.
Ghost train.
And if it helps at all, that I don't think it really means anything in the episode.
No.
Yeah, well, there you go, viewers. Sometimes when you watch too many episodes of Riverdale Season 6 in a row and you're sort of overcome by the glory of it and your eyes start bleeding and your mind snaps in two, you start confusing what's happening when.
Yeah. So would you say, Kara, from what you've heard so far, do you think that trying to make good on thousands upon thousands of dollars of library fines is the worst thing that Percival Pickens has ever done?
No, I doubt it. I doubt it. I think he's probably done way worse. I mean, it sounds like it, right? He genocided an entire
that would be worse.
Native American. That's worse than library book fines.
That is a lot worse, yeah.
I would say. And
I think
I don't
you'd
know,
be very
he
correct.
just generally has like that kind of punchable face that you get from a villain in a lot of these kind of shows. You really just want to sock it to that guy.
Yeah,
great villain.
When he, and I don't mean to interrupt our book fair, which we will get back into, where we're sorting everyone into their schools of books, which is everyone's individual books. But when Percival Pickens was threatening Archie, and Archie said, like, I'll beat you up, and Percival Pickens said, not with this rock. What did that mean to you?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Wait, say that again. When?
So Percival Pickens is threatening Archie, and Archie says, if you touch anything else in my house, I will break both your arms. And Percival Pickens responds, well, with this little rock, you won't.
Yeah, I believe he says, this little nugget says different.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't.
That's fine.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think I was just letting a lot of this wash over me. And
that's a good approach.
That didn't strike a chord with me.
It's a gestural show in many ways.
Would you like to know, just to have that context? So it's sort of in a Kafka-esque way. Archie is currently invulnerable. He has unbreakable skin. He's incredibly dense. You can't kill him. You can't poison him.
Okay, Jared told me that they have powers now, but I couldn't tell when that was coming up in this specific episode. So Archie is invulnerable.
Yeah.
With the exception of his personal kryptonite, which is palladium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Palladium.
Not to be confused with the
venue
Hollywood.
In Los Angeles.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Well, there's been some question on this podcast how the venue in Los Angeles would affect Archie.
Not the venue in Los Angeles where I saw Lizzo in concert.
Okay.
Big get.
A long time ago. Wow. Okay. Also, Archie, there is something really weird about his face. Just the eye color is different from the eyebrow color, and then his skin looks very pale. Is that like on purpose? I mean, like when I first turned the episode on, I was like, it looked almost weirdly CGI animated to me, like his whole face, and like I didn't know what was up, but that could just be me getting used to the characters.
I think it's just you, because as far as I can tell, this iteration of Archie is optimal horny bait. It's the sexiest Archie could ever be, and I honestly, the only criticism I have is that we don't get to see him shirtless more.
Yeah.
Reading a book.
No, I get it. I get how it's just
Was it
like
maybe his toxic red hair that threw you
Yeah,
off?
the hair's not a color that you find in nature. That's not a hair color that people have.
Sure.
That's a hair color you can pay a hairdresser to give you, and then you can say skip the eyebrows or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're impenetrable or whatever, you could probably just go to any salon and get them to do whatever, you know? So good on Archie.
Do you think his hair can get cut if he has superpowers that make him...
Great question. Can it be cut, but does it hurt to pull it is a different thing. Like it wouldn't hurt him if you pulled his hair.
Well, he can't cut his skin either.
So. If you can't cut his skin, maybe the hair is impenetrable as well. Great question. This is a great question,
Omar. These are the sort of philosophical quandaries
this is what
that
we're
Riverdale
here for.
Inspires. I think you can cut it. I think hair is dead.
Yeah, that's true too. Hair is dead.
The musical?
Yeah, hair the musical is dead. So other people have other books. Betty's got a book on fixing up cars.
Yeah.
Betty, by the way, is a Law and Order SVU alum.
Wait, what?
Is
Not
she?
Betty,
Lily
but
Reinhart?
Lily
The
Reinhart.
actress, yeah.
Yes.
What did she do?
She is in an episode called Lost Traveler. It is heartbreaking. It's about a little boy who walks to school and then disappears, and everybody he's part of the Romani community.
Okay.
So people think there's all these red herrings of racist people took him, or there's a developmentally delayed boy that lives next door who's not a boy, he's a man, and he maybe has taken him, and it turns out it's Lily Reinhart, little psycho Lily Reinhart, and her friend lured this kid down to an abandoned building, burnt him with cigarette butts, and then killed him to keep him from telling.
Oh,
I've seen that episode.
Is this based on the Slender Man story?
It's actually based on the real story of a little boy in New York City named Libby Kletsky, who was kidnapped and killed on his way to school. But we do cover the Slender Man story in a different episode that's called The Glasgow Man's Wrath. They renamed Slender Man Glasgow Man in this episode of SVU.
Okay, yeah.
But anyway, we did try to get Lily Reinhart on our podcast, and she was a resounding no because, between Riverdale and like her Lancome, campaigns, I don't think she had time to sit and talk about the time she killed a little kid. But she was like a teen on that when she was on it.
Wow, Lily.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
She's got the serial killer gene in more than one show.
Yeah.
But what was also making me laugh so hard is that her name is Agent Cooper, and everybody kept saying Agent Cooper. And I don't know if any of you are Twin Peaks fans.
Yes.
Like that
I
to me
personally
is
have never heard of it.
Only that to me is the only Agent Cooper, and so they just kept going Agent Cooper, and I was like, is this? But they on Law and Order SVU they did the same thing where they made Erica Christensen an extremely young, beautiful, blonde FBI agent named Agent Cooper, and so I was like, how old are these people? How do you become an FBI agent when you're 25? I feel like there's more schooling involved. But
also, Betty's mom Alice is of course played by a famous Twin Peaks actor.
Who? Mad Shanamic?
Yeah.
Ah, wow. Shelley from Twin Peaks. Huge. It all connects.
I'm impressed by all these information you have stored up there, Kara.
I just feel like I remember wondering what happened to her because when I watched Twin Peaks, I was like 11. I was way too young to watch it. And I just remember thinking she is so beautiful. And I've looked her up recently and I think I saw that she was on Riverdale. And I was
amazing.
like, I sort of love how all the people that were so hot when I was very young are now like parents on the shows. Like Luke Perry, wasn't he on the show? Was he not on Riverdale? Yes, rest in peace.
Yeah.
He was my all-time hugest crush when I was younger.
I believe that's Archie's dad, right?
Yep.
Oh, and he loved being a young dad. Luke Perry famously.
Yeah.
That was sad.
You've got all this pop culture deep storage up in the old noggin there, and
it's not. There's no room for Kafka up there. Just 90210 and fucking Twin Peaks.
But on that note,
Can
Kara,
I swear on this podcast?
Yeah, of course.
Please.
I did want to ask you about a different kind of attic, the one in which you might find flowers, aka Cheryl Blossom's overdue library book. What is the fact that Cheryl Blossom has held on to flowers in the attic for so long suggest to you about her character?
Well, who is Cheryl Blossom? I don't remember her from the books.
She's barely a character in the books.
Okay. It suggests to me that she is being slowly poisoned by her mother. I don't know.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
Or
yeah,
Flowers in the Attic had some. I've actually only seen the movie of Flowers in the Attic. I haven't read the actual book, but the movie was like for my age, when we were like in 4th grade, it was like, dare we watch Flowers in the Attic at a sleepover? Like it was this like spooky movie about like a woman, poisoning her kids. And then do the brothers and sisters have weird stuff going on with them in Flowers in the Attic or no?
Do. There's a lot of, it's definitely an incest heavy book.
Okay.
So is Cheryl Blossom's got a brother?
Well, she did.
Or sister?
She did. She did have a beloved twin brother, Jason Blossom, who unfortunately was murdered in season 1. But they interact a bit in the Splinter universe of Riverdale, and we also see them interacting in season 1. And it is like always been an open question to me of, were they directed to have sexual tension between these two characters?
Wow.
I think they were.
This makes it clear that they definitely were. This is the show telling us yes.
Yeah.
In fact, Jason Blossom appears in this episode because he's the collateral that Percival Pickens takes.
True.
He does appear in this episode. You're so right. He is the skeleton in the trunk. Speaking of which, if I'm an immortal racist warlock, I have 2 questions for you, Kara. What book would I be reclaiming from you that would sort of let the audience know something important about you as a character?
Oh, wow.
And then what would I be taking as collateral when you couldn't provide the book to me?
Something important about me.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could just be your favorite book. Like my book being taken would be probably my copy of The Wheel of Time, book 1, The Eye of the World, because it's my favorite book. I always have my Wheel of Time companion handy right here.
Beautiful.
So that's what would be taken. That would be my library book.
Okay. I'm having a moment of stress trying to figure out like what I would call my favorite book of all time. I remember in high school, really, I really like Madame Bovary and like Sense and Sensibility, and these movies were like impropriety keeps me from telling you how horny I am for you. Like I sort of love those. I loved a lot of those books growing up.
Clenched fist in the rain as a gentleman is strolling away.
Yes. And we're not meant to be. He is betrothed to my sister. Whatever.
Some good old Jane Austen.
Yeah.
And what would you give up for collateral?
What would I give up for collateral?
Well, not willingly. What would I take from you?
What would he take from me from collateral? So something that's extremely important to me.
Yeah.
Jared would say my phone.
Okay.
That's fine.
I'm like a real multitasker, so I'm really always doing like 75 things on my phone, but not just like scrolling shit. I'm always like, emailing my kids' class and like doing a spreadsheet and posting something on Facebook in a group to sell it. I'm doing a lot of random shit with my phone at all times. So that would actually, if you're going to take something that's going to piss me off and inconvenience me, I think my phone.
That's great. And if I were to be coming to take collateral from one of your children, would you offer me their diary?
Oh gosh. No, if I would now, when she gave the diary, was she being vindictive?
Betty's mom?
Yes.
Hard to say with Alice.
It's hard to say. She's kind of always like seesawing between like, are you just a hyper controlling mother, or are you actually abusive, or are you actually evil? She's always bouncing back and forth.
Okay. Well, I'll say my kids are 3 and 5, so they can barely write, let alone keep a diary of thoughts and feelings. But I grew up very extremely, I have probably started about 17 diaries in my youth and then always stopped because I always thought my sister is reading it or my brother is reading it. Like people are finding it and reading it. So I'm just not going to do it anymore. And I like really never kept a good diary. So if I'm trying to be vengeful, it does seem like that is good collateral. But if it was my actual children and I was trying to hurt them, I would give them their lovies. They have their lovies are their absolute crack cocaine.
What is that?
Lovies are like picture like a little blanket. It's like a tiny blanket, like this big, that has an animal head on it. And then the blanket just hangs down from the neck of it. Okay. So my daughter has a unicorn and my son has a duck. And
amazing.
They are, when they have them in their hands, they huff them and they suck their fingers, and they are just
what's in there?
Truly like their own scent. It's their own scent. It's like they smell the scent of comfort and sleep. And so I have to take them away first thing in the morning because it's like they're zombies. I can't get them to do anything when they have them. So if I wanted to be seriously vindictive to them and appease this warlock, I'd be like, here you go, 2 lovies on a platter.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
that's how it would go.
I don't know about you, Omar, but methinks there's a whiff of sorcery about all this.
Yeah, I'm so glad that Cheryl's able to give us some insight into that. I wonder if Cheryl would have some insight also into these lovies, because I do have a little bit of a side quest now to investigate what's going on with this fantastical invention. But in the world of Riverdale, I'm starting to suspect that Percival Pickens is collecting totems of interest. With people, which is pretty straightforward. So I think this episode is pretty cut and dry. You go to people, you say these are the books, you take away the things, there's an effect. I don't think there's going to be any other twisty turnies in this episode. Would you say so, Sarah?
No, I mean, and I think it's pretty cut and dry. I mean, we got a lovely little Latin incantation. For the listeners who haven't seen the episode, we got a loquere obiecta de mysteria tua ex-Libris ed animas frequenta manus unde venistis. And because this is the only excuse I ever get to use the 9 years of Latin I took as a student, that means speak to me, objects of your mysteries, and out of these books into their minds, haunt the hands from which you've come.
That's beautiful in any language.
It is.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Can
we've
talk about what broke me?
Yeah, please tell us what broke you, Azzy. You sound so defeated that I have to hear it.
We do have to find out about this.
So I really try to I try to, like Kara, let everything in this show kind of wash over me. And I'm a film student, and I try and let my kind of highfalutin side of me, I try to keep that in a cage, you know?
I see. You pack that down, you put it in a comic book box.
I'm not going to stop you here, Azzy, but I do want to mark that I'm confused. So please finish your sentiment.
So when they started taking library books, when Percival showed up to all these individual characters and started taking library books, okay, I was like, okay, we're going to get a montage. And then they kept doing the full scene for every single one of these people.
Oh, you mean rehashing the information that we clearly knew from previous scenes as to Percival just like rehashing the dialogue boxes?
Yes, Percival comes in and they have Percival delivered like the same kind of line every time of like, I'm here to get your book. And it's like, yeah, we get that. We could skip over that. We could just get to the next point. Yeah. Well, you're using so much time and money to say the same thing.
The fact that you're a film student should be helping you understand this, because this isn't McDonald's style storytelling. We're not trying to render us
McDonald's style
to
storytelling.
Processed white bread, okay?
No.
Sure, could they have done that? Of course they could have. But they want the audience to feel as trapped and enthralled and helpless beneath Percival's schemes as the folks of Riverdale are. You know,
see what happens when you let the camera roll.
This is farm table storytelling. That's why I was confused about you're saying you need to cage your pretension to understand Riverdale, because I fully disagree. Riverdale's Season 6 is the best season of television ever made, and what you need to do is unleash your full analytic ability to truly delve the depths of meaning being shown to you here.
Okay. I'll work on it. I'll go tell my therapist.
This is not too different from, what was it? Am I remembering wrong? The Mission with De Niro, where he has to climb that waterfall like 70 times. It's kind of like that, where he's got to climb.
It's like the myth of Sisyphus. We have to find meaning in the absurd, and Riverdale Season 6 knows that. and is helping provide us an avenue towards existential release.
Speaking of finding,
must imagine Reggie Mantle happy.
They must. How do you feel about all this, Kara? Do you agree
that I need to find all of the existential analytics inside of Riverdale?
Yes.
I'm doing my best. I'm really trying.
Exactly. That's the spirit. That's the rebellion we need.
I really genuinely I applaud you on every level, Kara, because you've come in, out of every guest we've had, you've come into this with the most just taking the curve as it rides.
Yeah.
Like you're in it, you're just like, yeah, got it, cool. Immortal Warlock, absolutely. Everyone's spirits are kind of trapped in these books, completely. Everyone's books are different. Reggie's got a children's book to help him with dyslexia, which he can't now read unless he finds the exact same children's books with dyslexia. Great, absolutely. We need more of this in this country. More of like, I accept you for who you are.
Yes.
I celebrate you for all of our, we celebrate our differences. This is the melting pot. This is the America episode.
Riverdale is America.
Thank you.
Constantly under threat by a warlock from hell who is hell-bent on destruction and chaos, and we don't even really know why yet. The ghost train has not come in to talk yet.
We don't even know. We don't even know about the ghost train yet.
Wait, can you tell me a little bit more about Reggie and Veronica are fighting at the beginning?
They're fighting.
He's like, well, I should get out of here so that I don't end up dead or something. And she takes like high offense to that, as if she kills people or everybody she's with ends up dead. Like, what is the barb being thrown at her here?
That's a little bit of beforeshadowing, or as I like to call it, foreshadowing. Because by the end of this episode, there will be someone who unfortunately has come to pass in the bad.
I saw, but that's why I was like, oh, okay, so he's foreshadowing this. But is this something that happens to Veronica all the time?
No, honestly, that's unfair. If you don't mind me hopping on that grenade, everyone, I do feel that it's a little unfair, right? Everyone has had so many people die around them. Like, Jughead has had 2 people fall out of windows in front of him, and no one's like, Jughead, you're cursed with like window disease. Like Veronica's had, I think Reggie names 2 people who came to die. Now, granted, okay, in all fairness, and Carrie, you might be interested in the details of this, coming from a Law and Order background. Veronica did have her father killed.
Okay, shit. What did he do?
He did a lot of stuff, not the least of which was putting a bomb underneath Archie and Betty's bed, which, through a series of emotional confluences, ended up creating an offshoot splinter universe called Riverdale, where all things magical are possible. So,
got it.
Not like this world, though. This is a world where not all magical things are possible.
Just a few magical things are possible.
Would it surprise you, Kara, to know that in seasons 1 through 5, there really isn't much magic at all in this show?
No, I think that's, I'm getting the feeling that that's like where this show is like, this classic question that we ask on Passover, how is this night different from all other nights? Like, how is this teen drama different from all other teen dramas? And they're like, at season 6, we got to go magic, baby.
Yeah,
like, we can't just keep doing this shit, because you could keep doing that for 5, 7 more seasons.
You could, and you just run dry.
And I don't know if there's going to be as many podcasts talking about it,
No.
And now here we are.
Beautiful. Beautifully said.
Yeah, I think I get that. It is not surprising to me that they just went straight until they took a turn on season 6.
And one thing you might find on a Passover plate when you're questioning why Riverdale is different from all other seasons, you might find yourself a little charred egg, or in this case, a Fabergé egg.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. Did I say Fabergé? What even is that, Kara? This is a Glamourgé egg.
It's a Glamourgé egg.
It's a Glamourgé egg. There were 2 moments in this episode that nearly broke me. The Glamourgé egg, because I was like, what? I swore it was called a Fabergé egg.
Can they not say Fabergé? Could they not get Fabergé cleared?
It's
or is
completely arbitrary which brands they rename.
It's just a fucking running thing
that
goes up the wall.
Yeah. It's something that breaks Ozzy's brain.
Veronica builds
weekly.
websites in Canva in this show, so it really is kind of a toss-up. also really ahead of her time. But
True.
that was one. The other we'll get to when we talk about the bookstore. But I just want to put a pin in that because there's as he's got the film school stuff covered, I will cover being just a pretentious prick. And there was one thing where I went, no, that wasn't true. But that's a before shadow for you folks. Yeah. So anyhow, there's an egg that's delivered to Veronica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you
But
want this
unlike
egg?
a normal egg, the yolk is filled not with protein, but with spite. Is that true? Would you say that's true? Or would you just say it's spiders? Is it actually just like spiteless spiders? That it's just spiders?
As opposed to what? The yolk being spiders?
No, sorry. Okay, I understand where that got confusing. So what I'm saying is, unlike a normal egg, which has in its yolk protein, this yolk, which also there wasn't yolk to be clear, had spite. But I'm asking, is it spite and spiders, or is it just kind of coincidentally spiders that happen to deal with Veronica's burgeoning powers as a venomous spider herself?
Okay, good question.
Yeah.
So wait, that's part of Veronica's power? Veronica's becoming a Spider Woman or something? Or she has venom?
Of a sorts.
Of a sorts.
Oh,
yeah, because of her book and other things.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
She's becoming venomous.
I
her
guess I'm
body's
just trying to
producing
figure out like
toxins.
what their powers are before the Percival stuff.
Yeah.
Versus powers that are now being bestowed on them, or the power of eczema, or something like that.
Oh, eczema is not Jughead's power. Jughead's power is mind reading.
Oh, okay. Jughead can mind read. Does Veronica have a power that predates becoming a spider lady?
Yeah. Veronica's spider lady powers actually are not caused by Percival. He's just fucking. He's just fucking with her.
He's tapping into that, or he's sort of like playing with it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she sees all those spiders come out of the Glamourget egg, but then she like blinks and they're not there. So you kind of can't tell if she's hallucinating, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Or fast spiders.
We don't know why Veronica has her powers.
Okay.
I side with fast spiders.
I do like that they attempted to like sort of like unwhite this show a little bit as for how white the comic books are by making Veronica have an abuelita and interesting. I didn't know any of that about her when I was reading the books,
Yes. There are also there's actually it's a very diverse cast for what the show is, I'd say. You missed the episode where Tabitha travels around in time addressing various issues and like the kind of Black civil rights struggle. The show wants people to learn. It wants people to be woke.
It's kind of a Doctor Who.
Oh, got it.
It's a little bit of a Doctor Who. Okay. Would you say, Kara, once a piggy, always a piggy?
Oh yeah.
Fuck me.
Wait, I forgot who that gets said about.
That was about Kevin. Betty's former gay best friend Kevin turned eternal cop shithead.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's hard for people to ever truly change. There's probably a little bit of pig in there always.
Yeah.
Kara, would you say that Lord of the Flies is less about the corruptibility of unnecessary social and authority structures and more about like the hotness of the the different protagonists?
Yeah.
Yes. As somebody who watched a Lord of the Flies movie when I was like 13, just like peak little boys on an island with their shirts off, I'd say, it's probably more about the hotness. Yeah. Less about the hierarchical, societal struggle of boys and children unsupervised and
forming mock trials, death penalties with boulders.
Yes. The conch, all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Some people might not believe that once a piggy, always a piggy. And if I were an immortal racist warlock, I might believe that Kevin is a gorgeous, gorgeous man. And further, I might tell him that I am his secrets and that only I can release him from them.
Yeah.
That might just be me and Percival.
If I was hitting on someone, what I would do is, and I've done this a couple times, I have expressed interest in people at places of inebriation, where I'll saddle up next to them at the bar and I'll turn to them and say, "You are such a Ralph." And let me tell you, folks, 100% accuracy rate. It's never missed. It always hits. Try it out. Try it out.
Kevin is played by Casey Cott.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get him on our podcast right now.
No way. Seriously?
Yeah. I don't know if he'll do it, but we're trying to get him.
Well, now you know some of his secrets, and maybe you can use those to blackmail him.
Now I can be like, talk to me about Riverdale, sir.
Tempt him with the Lord of the Flies book.
He's in a Law and Order SVU episode. Yeah.
Wait a second. Can y'all smell that?
No.
Is it bleach?
Yeah, I think I'm smelling the bleach my dad used to scrub the blood of his victims out of the family car.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, as we all know, no sense memory is stronger than scent.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
That's like a little sort of like pop science fact I used to always say. I'd be like, the strongest sense to memory, connects to memory is smell.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think that, like, I don't mean to be crass here or like, I don't know, like dismissive of that fact, of that medicine. But like for me, maybe it's sight, in the sense of like, I see something I've seen before and I go, I remember that.
I remember seeing that. How can smell be stronger than sight? That's such a good point.
I think for me, seeing something,
yeah,
I can like remember it, but it's more of like I have to search through the memory catalog or be like, oh, that's that thing. But there's some smells that like do transport me. Like when I smell gasoline, anytime I smell gasoline, I'm like back on the boat at my grandparents' river house. Like,
just huffing that shit.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, just huffing gasoline. The boat's not on. The boat actually, it's a rowboat.
Smoking a cigarette and let's see what happens.
Yeah, their house was in Waterworld.
Exactly. I have a canister of gasoline that I am just huffing. And it brings me back to that pleasant memories of when I was a really cool kid.
I was saving this for the wrap, but Azzy and I did get you a Yankee candle that is gasoline scented.
Oh my god, you guys, thank you so much.
Be so careful lighting that candle. Like I really
Riverboat gasoline.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's the difference for me. It's like smells like put me in a memory more.
Yeah,
that's
that makes
true.
sense. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I guess it's like I wouldn't see, a box of tissues and be like, oh, that reminds me of my grandmother's house. But if I like smelled,
you're
what my
right.
grandmother's house smells like, I guess it's more because it's more specific. Whereas your eyes are taking stuff in like constantly.
You're so right.
But I thought that the show really wanted to. It was almost like at the point that she walked into like. Percival's shop or library or whatever, and there's just a can of bleach sitting on the counter and it's marked bleach very largely.
Yes.
It was almost like I was like, oh, this show knows I've never seen another episode. They're helping me. Like they're literally putting everything so obviously like it's like you couldn't just have like a white canister there. Like everybody kind of knows what a bleach canister, and it just said bleach like on the side.
Would you say that maybe Riverdale Season 6 is treating you not just that you've never seen an episode of Riverdale before, but that maybe you've never seen an episode of anything before?
Yes. They're like, we have to spell this out for someone who's just discovered television. They woke up in a coma.
Interesting.
It's been 60 years. They've never seen color television before.
Yeah. Are you arguing that Riverdale Season 6 and each episode thereof is the only perfectly self-contained pure piece of art designed for any audience?
That might be it. That might be what I'm saying.
Then if so, I agree.
Before we move on from Bleach, and this is the last thing I'll say on this matter, and then quite frankly, I'm done talking about Bleach. That's got to come up often, right?
Right.
Like, am I wrong?
What?
In that, like, it's not like an unusual chemical. Like, I don't often, like, on a daily basis, I don't, like, encounter churros. So then when I do smell churros, I'm like, oh, Disneyland. Like, that's an association.
But you're not being... You haven't been cursed by an immortal racist warlock to be reliving repressed memories of your serial killer father grooming you to become a murderer.
That's a good point. I guess I can't really speak to that experience.
There's a lot of use of the word groomed in this episode, which is actually I was really expecting, both in the Archie Grundy situation.
It was Grendel, actually, the Bog Witch.
And the Betty and her dad situation, which I just wasn't expecting.
She recently learned the word.
What'd you say?
She to quote kind Betty, Riverdale didn't really use this word back then, but the truth is that Miss Grundy groomed Archie.
Yes, that's an actual accurate use of the word. Whereas, but this show is so funny because there are 15 plot lines in this show that I think could make their own show. Like a serial killer who's grooming his hot daughter to also become a serial killer is a cool idea for a show. Yeah. Like a girl.
Have you seen Prodigal Son? Shout out Prodigal Son, the only other TV show I've seen.
Oh, I haven't seen it, but Lou Diamond Phillips was in it, right?
You're asking the wrong person.
Sarah doesn't know any actor
I don't know actor names.
Lou Diamond Phillips was in Prodigal Son, I think.
Okay.
But like, I mean,
we're gonna need to get a Prodigal Son sponsorship at this point.
A warlock coming and bringing you back the books from your youth to like hold you hostage in some way. People turning into things. I mean, any of these things could be their own multi-season and a movie type show.
Yeah.
And Riverdale's like, fuck it, put it all in the blender.
Yeah.
We're going to do episode. Them all.
Lou Diamond Phillips was in Prodigal Son.
There you go.
Yeah, because we interviewed him on our pod, and I remember asking him about Prodigal Son, and he was very proud of it, but we had never seen it.
Great show. Can I ask you a question? You're a mother, Kara.
Yeah.
You have 2 young children.
Indeed.
What would you say if your kids came to you and they were like, "Mom, I'm scared of a monster"?
Well, they have come and said that to me, and I've said there are no monsters, and I'm here to protect you.
Nice. But, interesting.
We all know there are monsters, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not a parent, but I guess I've always kind of thought if I were in that situation, I'd say, you don't have to be afraid of any monster because you and I are much scarier than any monster.
I wish I could think of something like that.
Yeah. I mean,
it is kind of a great way to get your kid to be like, oh, the monsters are actually scared of us. That's what I tell them about bees. I go, the bee is more scared of you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's good parenting because I learned everything I know about parenting from Betty's dad, who is, as has been acknowledged, was a serial killer.
Oh,
a lot of bleach. I'm still. I know. I said I'd rest the bleach case. I know I'm stuck on it. It's just like that's a lot of. As an expert on criminality, because of your interest in Law and Order, Kara, how much bleach would you have to use to get bloodstains out of a car?
I mean, the thing is like, yeah, if a car is covered in blood, you're probably not like if upholstery. Are we talking about leather? Are we talking about cloth upholstery? You're not getting it out of the. But the thing is that black light that the cops use picks up bleach.
Oh,
so they can tell when a crime scene has been cleaned.
Or can you cover the entire interior in bleach? And so when they shine the light, they go like, it must just be everything.
It's not against the law to clean your car
with bleach.
That's true. But most people don't bleach their cars.
So what if you had mildew
in your car
from all the blood?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, from whatever sticky liquid you had.
I left some blood in here overnight, and it was a hot night, so it mildewed. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't really think we should be adhering to the laws of forensics here when we're in Riverdale.
Good point.
It feels like, what other laws are we obeying? We've got Glamourget eggs full of spiders. It's not like, the rules of reality are not real here. So sure, I guess bleach is also something like if your mom was a cleaning person or your father was a cleaning person, you'd have that smell or
again, she's been cursed by a warlock. I think she's smelled bleach before and not had this association with it. I think this is all part of the curse. But that's just my personal take. I mean, Riverdale is really up to the interpretation of the individual, like any great work of art.
Sarah, is this show still on TV?
No, unfortunately, it's closed out.
When did it end?
It had 7 seasons.
Yeah, so the season after this.
When did season 7 like go off the air? Oh wow. Okay, so it's still pretty fresh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty fresh, like Betty's memories.
Yeah.
Sarah, would you say that maybe a good book, like maybe possibly a better book than like Automotive Repair that Percival Pickens could have gotten from Betty would have been like book 1 of the manga Bleach?
I was wondering,
kind of activate that theme.
I was going to suggest, Omar, that maybe the next season of this podcast is Bleach. Season 6 of Bleach. After we finish Riverdale Season 6, actually, we're going to do every single episode of One Piece. So
I will be a shriveled up raisin in the corner.
Yes.
By the time that podcast is over.
Speaking of people getting shriveled up, Kara, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Let's say you just hooked up with your grandma's fixer, Geraldo.
Mm-hmm.
And you wake up and he's just fucking dead. What do you think happened?
I mean,
for reference, your ex-boyfriend did give you a Glamourget egg full of Black Widow spiders previously.
Yeah.
It is funny to me that she immediately goes to like, he didn't have some kind of cardiac event or an aneurysm. It was like, Reggie and that Glamourget egg full of spiders. So I guess... I don't know. I'm panicking. Also, what was with wasn't there something weird about his mouth or something? Wasn't there?
Lips were blue.
Yeah.
I mean, his
lips
death,
were blue.
it seems,
pillowy lips
was sealed with a kiss.
Geraldo, gone too soon. I don't know how I would handle that, because usually the irony is here, you call a fixer, right? You call a fixer to come and put a body that's dead in your bed. And the fixer is dead in your bed.
Yeah.
So I don't know is there like a junior fixer? Like, I don't know who you call.
There's like the fixer.
There's like a
trustworthy the fixer.
There's a trustworthy medical examiner in town. Might you go to him?
No, medical examiners are usually officers of the court.
No, not this one. He's very bribable.
Oh, okay. Sure.
We know for a fact.
Let's get that guy. Let's get that guy in here.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I have to say that would be jarring. I mean, that would be very jarring for me. I would be upset.
How did you feel about that medical examiner?
Wait, I saw the medical examiner?
Mm-hmm.
You did.
Oh.
You did.
Dr.
He was at the
Curtle
end of the
Jr.
episode because he told Veronica, and I quote, "The toxicology report came back, and it was indeed Black Widow venom that stopped Geraldo's heart. It is interesting, though, a Black Widow spider doesn't typically have enough venom to kill a grown man. And there wasn't a single puncture wound anywhere where the venom entered the young man's body."
Oh.
Because, Kara, it entered through his lips. His death, it seems, sealed with a kiss.
Okay.
Do you remember that part of the episode?
Now I do, now that you're saying it. Yes.
So let's start listing.
Created it.
Let's start listing some suspects. Who could it be? I'm putting Betty at number 1.
Betty number 1. Well, she got the serial killer gene. She's always going to be on the list.
Who's the best kisser? Who's the best kisser of the cast?
I mean, Veronica is canonically up there.
She did run a kissing booth.
She did.
But I feel like that's too obvious.
Yeah, I mean, she was the one in bed with him.
She's the one who kissed him. It's a
She's
little
only
obvious.
Yeah.
Her saliva is venom? What is Black Widow venom?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, that's a theory. Interesting.
Ring-a-ding-ding. Interesting theory.
Are you saying that her body produces toxins, that maybe so many toxins that they're in her saliva, her tears, and her blood, and her perspiration?
Other secretions?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And how do they know it entered through his lips? How do they know it didn't enter through the downstairs?
Through his dick.
Yeah.
Unless, do the Riverdale kids use protection? I doubt it, right? In this universe?
They do.
All we know is that Betty used to be on birth control until the trash bag killer had her in that well.
Well, but they were like, we were always, because Archie and Betty were talking last episode, and they're like, we were always safe, right? And he was like, yeah, and you were also on birth control. And she was like, well, I stopped being, and they were like, except for that one time, and I've been off birth control since the well.
Yeah, so it's...
I didn't realize people were on birth control in long relationships. I didn't realize people were in long committed relationships that you'd be on birth control and be using condoms.
Well, if you don't want kids, Kara.
Yeah.
But that's what the birth control's for.
It doesn't work every time. I can't speak to what monogamous people do. I'm polyamorous, and so
yeah, you're right. You should be for me specifically, I was on birth control when Jared and I became serious, and I made him go get an STD test. And once I knew he was clean, I was like, let's. I assume that's what these kids are doing.
And I mean, Archie and Betty haven't been together for that long.
Yeah, they just started dating last episode.
Oh, that's crazy. Wait, what?
Yeah,
I thought they were excited to have a baby.
Well, okay, so what happened last episode is Betty asks, "Are we dating?" And Archie's like, "Why are you asking?" And she's like, "I'm 2 weeks late."
And she's also straight A student when it comes to her period.
Yeah.
Except for this time, because she's not actually pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, well, good point. So we might have to change those markings.
She's been through a lot of trauma, and that can fuck with the body.
Yeah.
I'm so surprised that a couple that started dating a week ago is sitting in bed, lamenting what could have been with their baby.
Well, they've been dating since they were in high school, but it's they've been on again, off again since they were in high school.
Because isn't the whole thing that Archie bounces back and forth between Veronica and Betty, or no?
Yeah, he and Betty are kind of this is the season when he and Betty really become end game.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. But then he went to go fight in the war, and he came back a war hero.
In season 5, they're bouncing around. He comes back from the war. Yeah, it's all complicated.
When did we start talking about couples in TV shows becoming endgame? Because that's a big thing people use in the Law and Order SVU universe as well. Not to bring my own bullshit into the Riverdale universe, but people are always like, "Oh, Elliot and Olivia are endgame," and then a lot of people, such as myself, are like, "No, that's not how it should be." And I just never that phrase just feels like it popped
Elliot
up
Olivia,
in the last couple years.
They use that term a lot in this show in the earlier seasons, and this is the first show I've seen use it. But this is also canonically one of only 2 television shows that I've ever seen. The other, of course, being Prodigal Son. But I can tell you that Elliot and Olivia should not be endgame. What the hell? Who thinks that?
Right.
They're work friends.
I'm seeing stuff from 2014 on Tumblr.
Yeah, you see it on Twitter where it's so-and-so and so-and-so are endgame. And you're like, oh, did that come from video games? Did that come from something?
Probably Tumblr.
Okay.
It feels very, I don't know. It feels very Christian to me to think about people in terms of who will your final long-term marriage partner be?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Who will your eternal partner be when you enter through the gates of heaven? Yeah.
It's because it's from it's I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't really come from the world of shipping organically, but I had a couple roommates in the past who were really into ships, not boats. I want to be clear,
not ships and bottles,
yes.
of course.
Shipping.
Not ships and not ships and bottles. That's a whole Jughead thing. Granted, he might have been possessed possibly by a ghost.
It's hard to say.
It's hard to say. But it's sort of also you're kind of fantasy footballing relationships. And you're kind of these are the folks I'm cheering for. I'm hoping for this. I'm hoping that these are the peeps. I personally had a couple ships in Dawson's Creek when I was doing a rewatch. Not a rewatch. I was watching it for the first time. That fell apart. I was crushed. So I understand what it's like to lose out on that. And for your end game to not be end game. It can be somewhat devastating at times, especially.
And Sarah,
yes,
I don't think that end games necessarily have to be monogamous, one person. I think it's more about what do the fans think is the final soulmate
I guess I don't believe in soulmates. Yeah, but I do appreciate that they don't have to be monogamous, because what happens if you're in this in-game couple and then it turns out one of your friends has Black Widow venom powers, and she's sad because her last kiss ever is going to be with her shitty ex-boyfriend Reggie Mantle. But your boyfriend conveniently is invulnerable. What if you want to be able to share your boyfriend with your best friend so that she doesn't have to have her last kiss be regimental? I don't know. Like, there's just so many possible scenarios where the monogamy of it all gets me in my head. But I want to get out of my head. That makes
sense.
Yeah, I want to get out of my head and I want to get back into Kara's head. Kara, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Let's say that an immortal racist warlock has like taken a bunch of books from you and whatever, you get a book back, and the secret to freeing yourself from his like curse is to burn a pile of books. Are you okay with that? Do you think that burning a pile of 5 specific books that are part of a magic curse against you is bad?
No, burn them. Burn them.
I mean, I don't know though, because I just can't help wondering, like, what would Ray Bradbury say about this?
I know. What was that?
Yeah, what would
surely Ray Bradbury is against all book burning, no matter how many immortal warlocks are involved.
Fun fact: my old neighbor was Ray Bradbury's daughter, and still is, I suppose. But
can we ask her?
I just want to say I won't share her name. I won't share any details, except for one day I discovered that she is Ray Bradbury's daughter. But one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. We are still I have moved since then, but we still message each other on holidays and stuff.
You do? Can you ask her what her dad would say about this?
Yeah, we kind of need to know.
I could. Yeah,
Start
I will.
out with the hypothetical.
Yeah, happy
There's
Fourth.
a racist warlock demon.
Yeah.
And we sort of need to burn these books, but would your dad, do you think your dad would have been down?
Yeah, would he been against it?
Well,
is he sort of honest, dogmatically against book burning with no context, or?
I will inquire and I will find out.
Can you, while you do that, Adzi, can I let you know something that's going to break your brain?
Yeah.
And also just an interesting thing. It's interesting that Ray Bradbury is canon in the Riverdale universe. Because in season 7, we learned that one of Jughead's absolute favorite authors, who becomes his comic book writing mentor, is Brad Raybury.
Yeah.
We lost Azzy. Azzy just collapsed out of her chair.
She's gone.
I'm with you. Oh
the reaction
God.
that you're having, Azzy, right now, I had in one moment in this episode. So Jughead goes to Pennsylvania, of all places, to go get everyone's books, which fortunately are all
barn right off Route 42 in Allentown.
Yes, all kind of collected in the same area, which is great. But then when Jughead's describing that bookstore, he says it's kind of like Powell's in Seattle. What fucking Powell's bookstore in Seattle are you talking about, Jughead? You crumpet-eating buffoon! Like, seriously, there are 3 to 4 locations of Powell's bookstore, all in Oregon, my dude. What Seattle bookstore are you thinking of? And I thought,
are you sure?
Am I wrong?
Are you sure about that?
I looked up on the Wikipedia, so maybe there is a general Powell's bookstore, but it is not the Powell's bookstore that everyone's talking about. I went on Powell's. I went on Powell's bookstore Wikipedia, and I Apple F'd Seattle. I didn't find a single goddamn reference to any Seattle locations. Let me tell you, they are in the Portland and Greater Municipal area within Oregon. I went to their website. I did my due diligence searching of about 37 seconds. I even asked Google's new AI feature to help me look for this thing.
No, there's only 3 of them. Only 3 of them exist, and they're in Oregon.
Why would
you just go to their thing on their locations on their website? Yeah.
Can I talk about another thing that broke me in this episode?
That's a weird thing where somebody is just some writer on the staff is like, Seattle is Portland, Portland is Seattle. Like they're the same.
I would love to hear what broke your brain. Somehow I don't think it'll be any more earth-shattering than getting the location of Powell's wrong. But I do want to hear what broke you, Azzy.
Betty has this realization about her dad and the whole serial killer Gene relationship. And she goes to her FBI colleague and goes, "We've been excluding fathers from our search for TVK."
Yeah.
And she goes, "We need to include fathers." Why in any world were you excluding fathers from your search?
In what database is there a fathers button that you uncheck so that you can check for men we know for sure their seed has never produced a baby?
They'd profiled TBK as a loner. They didn't think he would have ties to family. And is it their fault? Honestly, this feels like a BAU problem. We need to call in some people from some kind of Criminal Minds or Mind Hunters podcast to really give us insights into their failed profiling here.
So they are...
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Do you know who happens to be an expert former FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit criminal profiler?
Who's that?
Who?
That's right, the protagonist of the show Prodigal Son.
No.
Yes.
I can't believe this.
It's true.
So is Prodigal Son just like Hannibal, but with father and son?
The premise of Prodigal Son is it's basically the show about Betty. Malcolm Bright is a genius, former FBI behavioral analyst whose dad, Martin Whitley, is an infamous serial killer known by the moniker The Surgeon. And Malcolm's constantly terrified that he too has like the serial killer instinct, but he uses his serial killer impulses to, yes, like Hannibal, like Will in Hannibal, empathize with the serial killers and figure out like, well, what would I do? This is what I would do, and then track them down.
Yeah.
So, Kara, I just want to say thanks for joining us on our secret Prodigal Son podcast. I know we hoodwinked you.
Surprise!
Oh, Martin Sheen's in this.
Yeah, he's so good. I can't tell you. My girlfriend and I are both trans women, and generally we don't like being misgendered. But thanks to Martin Sheen, we will wander around our house. Sorry, whatever it is. We'll wander around our house yelling at each other, "My boy!" And I do love it. Okay. I think anything else in this episode that you wanted to talk about, Kara or Omar or Azzy?
Wait, so who is Betty looking for? Who is this serial killer that they are looking
the
for?
trash bag killer.
What's he doing?
Killing people, dismembering them, wrapping their body parts up in trash bags and scattering them around trash cans around town.
That kind of stuff.
He also stalks
that kind
her.
Of stuff.
And
he's also got a personal investment in Betty. He knows Betty's looking for him.
He had her trapped in a well for a long time, but he's pretty sure that they're kindred spirits, and he let her loose because he's trying to watch to see if she'll become a serial killer.
Oh, okay. And then he's dipping into contacting her and stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Damn. TBK, trash bag killer.
Yeah.
Probably based on BTK.
Not at all.
I don't know.
Interesting.
Serial killer.
Interesting.
Is that someone based on Riverdale?
It is a serial killer who watched Riverdale and then went back into the 80s and started killing a bunch of people.
He's chronokinetic like Tabitha. Yeah, that's who TBK is. Did we answer all your questions about this episode?
Yeah, I think I got it. I got a lot of insight.
Awesome.
What a show.
We have like 4 more questions for you then, if that's okay.
Okay, great.
And by questions, what I really mean are we're going to ask you to give out some awards.
Okay.
So put on your podium hat.
I got a podium on my head. Let's go.
Step onto the soapbox throne and get ready to give out these awards. Our first award, this comes from our first guest on the show, Oscar Montoya. It is called the Sin Pie Award. This award goes to the character or animal or inanimate object or moment.
Haunted car, perhaps.
Or haunted car in certain episodes that just stole the show, that for you just ate up their scenery and left the plate completely clean. Who for you ate that sin pie?
Sin pie. Okay. All right. For me, I think it's the spiders from the Glamourge egg.
Yeah.
I think they did a lot. They did a lot of heavy lifting. They were tiny and fast. And honestly, you blink and the plate is empty. Like they don't leave any crumbs because they are either imaginary or they are scattering, bitch. So they are, to me, those girlies fully came. They brought it. They ate.
Can I tell you something, Kara?
Yeah.
This is episode 13.
Yeah.
We've given out this award every episode. This is the second time that this award has gone to spiders.
Well,
you know the first one is one particular spider. Yeah. But yes.
Yeah, see, for me, it was the synergy of the spiders as a group.
No, they were an amazing ensemble.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
Okay. Award number 2. This is
and the spiders
Ross...
are not here to accept the award, so I will be accepting it on their behalf.
And you deserve it.
Thank you.
The second award is the Ross Bryant Notice Me Senpai Award. Who, in this episode, which character would you most like to notice you?
Notice me.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have Seussical stuck
I like
in my
Reggie.
head.
I think the Melton guy is hot.
Reggie!
Yeah.
Reggie.
So is it Reggie or is it Charles Melton?
Charles Melton.
Okay, you want Charles Melton to notice you. I do. On that note, though, I actually recorded. Reggie had some great lines this episode that we did not bring up, and I since he won this award, I want to give him his due. And where the fuck are they, Sarah? Sarah.
Oh, I have a Reggie line.
Do you have a Reggie line? Please
I
lay
have
it on
the
us.
Reggie line.
Yeah.
When he goes into Percival's store and goes, something funky is going on.
Yes.
I give you a book and suddenly I can't read. I call Veronica a Black Widow, and then the egg I gave her is filled with spiders, even though when I checked it, it was empty.
What are you? A wizard? And yes, that's Academy Award winning Charles Melton delivering those lines beautifully. Fantastic. The third award here is the Dan Lippert award for Kara. Would you please make a prediction for what you think will happen going forward?
Oh my gosh, I have to make a prediction of anything that's going to happen going forward.
Big or small?
Any future plot beat.
I think Betty's going to find that fucking TBK killer. I think she's going to get him.
Whoa.
I think she's going to find him.
She's going to get him. I love it.
She's going to get him. And I don't think she's bringing him in alive.
Ooh, she's going to kill him.
Someone's going to kill him. She's going to kill him. It's going to be self-defense. I don't think that guy's coming in alive. I don't think that guy's going to be able to have a little Hannibal Lecter style clear screen cell where he gets to listen to opera and paint and shit. No.
Probably not, because they did do that earlier in the show, if that helps, between Betty and her father. So I think it's a very safe assumption. I think you
Did
are
Betty's father
already
die?
correct.
Yes, he's dead.
Yeah.
How did he die?
Old age. No,
honestly, I don't remember how he died.
I don't recall.
All we know,
Age is so funny.
Yeah.
They just come back and they're like, "Oh, we couldn't get that actor to sign for next season, so yeah, he just aged. He just died in jail.
He just aged fast.
Yeah,
Stress.
on the wackiest show of all time. They're like, just passed away in his sleep peacefully.
Ugh.
Yeah. Cheryl mom killed him.
Oh yeah, Cheryl's mom killed him.
When he was in jail.
This is long before she goes to the Himalayas to join the convent, the original convent of the Sisters of Quiet Mercy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Omar, would you like to deliver our fourth award prompt?
Our fourth and final award, you get to give this award out to a moment in the episode. This is the Britannia Award, and this goes to the moment that most made you stop everything, stop folding your laundry. You looked up at the screen and you just went, what?
Oh man. I mean, I think I have to go with that big ass bottle of bleach that was just sitting there. Like, that was so wild to me. I was like, you guys are telegraphing so hard. What's happening? And that I did kind of sit up and go, what? It's the bleach for me.
Yeah, it's the bleach for you.
Okay, I'm realizing maybe a point of confusion here.
Mm-hmm.
I read that as Percival put the bleach on the counter to fuck with Betty. Is that not how y'all saw it?
I mean, that's kind of how I saw it.
Sure. That's how I saw it as well. It was just she walks into the store. The bleach is right there. It is labeled bleach in 75-point font.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so, and she had just been sniffing bleach in the last scene. Like, they were just doing the most. Like, a bleach bottle could have been off to the side and serving the same purpose. I know I'm really drilling down on the bleach here, you guys.
No, it's fine.
But
Omar was true.
Yeah.
I know I said that I would stop talking about the bleach. I'm sorry for being one who constantly keeps bringing up the bleach.
The bleach is the winner of the Britannia Award. And Kara, you're a winner in our hearts. thank you.
Thank you so
much for joining us on this podcast.
What a journey. Thank you guys. Thank you guys all so much for having me. What a blast.
Kara, where can people find you?
People can find my podcast, That's Messed Up, an SVU podcast, on new episodes every Tuesday, wherever you procure pods. I run a live stand-up show in Los Angeles every single Wednesday at Bar Bandini in Echo Park.
Let's go.
And I'm on all your social media. Look, I'm not fucking with Twitter anymore. I'm on Instagram if you want to see what I'm doing.
Hell,
that is
that.
Yeah. What an unofficial vibe check we've done this season on how everyone feels about X, and it's everyone has been like, I'm not going there. I'm not going back.
Yeah, this podcast is formally anti-X.
Yeah, I sometimes scroll it a little bit and then I go, what are you doing here? And then it's like, get out. I hate it.
Azzy, where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at I Need Azrael, Azrael. You can go follow the podcast at Riverdale 6 Pod. And you can go find all of our links and whatever we're up to on that page.
Totally. You can find me on Instagram at Sarah Rose Kaplan, Sarah No H Rose like the flower, Kaplan with a C. And if you want to see our very special guest from next week, I guess you got to tune in next Thursday or whenever it is that you're listening to this, because, and Kara, you get to be the first one to formally hear this. Our guest next week is none other than Nikolai Witchell, the actor who plays the medical examiner, Dr. Curdle Jr. himself.
Oh my gosh.
And he will be talking to us about episode 14.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Huge.
Yep.
Huge. What a get.
Is there anything you want us to ask Nikolai in the episode, Kara? Yeah. Keep in mind, we have already recorded it.
We already recorded it.
How do you think you match up to other famous medical examiners, such as Melinda Warner from Law and Order SVU, or the inappropriate horny Asian Emmy in Dexter? You know, like there's all kinds of Emmys. How do you think you measure up to them?
I do bring up a different horny Asian Emmy, but this is the one from Prodigal Son. So,
and they say that we don't have representation. Folks, I'm Omar Najam. You can find me at Omar Najam Film on Instagram. You can also check out some stuff I do over on Effin' Funny. For example, ABCD, a show every other Sunday, or sometimes Tuesdays, where we just talk about being South Asian and figuring out our culture and stuff, and then we play a really silly game. And I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Folks, I make mistakes. I say things that sometimes I don't mean, sometimes things that I regret, and I want to be completely transparent with our audience and apologize. This week, Michael Sheen. I'm sorry I said you were Martin Sheen. I apologize about that.
Oh, it was Michael Sheen. Okay.
It's been haunting me the entire time. Michael, you don't deserve that slander. And Martin, I'm sorry that I said that was slander. So as these insults keep piling up, these apologies keep coming, I'll go ahead and throw it back to Sarah to sign us out.
Thank you so much, Omar. And thank you to you, listener. We hope you keep listening with us. We just have one more thing to say to you. Bye.